Hello everybody and welcome back to another video. Today we are going to be practicing my VFR cross-country navigational skills. I'm going to be flying from Cambridge to Leicester and back. We'll be splitting it over two videos. It's a kind of series, short series, and yeah, we'll see how that goes. So how this is going to work is I'm going to have the map, a little nav map in the bottom right for you guys. And I'm actually going to be navigating just with a regular paper map for myself, and I won't, obviously, I'll have to promise to you that I won't be using a little nav map to navigate, but yeah, I'll be using the old-fashioned way, and we'll see how that goes. So let's have a look at the route for today. So like I said, we're going to travel from Cambridge over to Leicester. It's about 50 miles. Should take us about 30 minutes with no wind. Of course, that will change slightly depending on the wind. We'll talk about that in a sec. So yeah, so what I've done here is just drawn a very kind of straight line straight from Cambridge to Leicester as you normally would. We haven't accounted for any airspace restrictions or any hazards en route. Just to aid simplicity really, but I don't think that there would be anything apart from the Cambridge University laser, which of course operates pretty much from surface level to, well, I think it's unlimited altitude, so we won't be worrying about that today. So yeah, so it's a westerly wind today, so we'll be taking off from runway 23, and what we're going to do is we will do a overhead departure. So we'll take off from 23. We'll fly the start of the circuit as we normally would, but we'll keep climbing up as high as we can go. And then as we reach sort of midfield downwind, I'll turn back over the airfield and aim to fly over the airfield as high altitude as possible, as fast as we can climb basically. And then when we pass over Cambridge, we'll start the clock, and we'll begin our cross-country navigation flight. A few kind of features to follow en route. Probably the most significant will be towns like Huntingdon and Corby. There might be some other airfields, wind farms, or any other features like rivers or roads that we can actually use as well. Particularly would help with timing. So yeah, and then obviously en route, when we get to Leicester, we'll be most likely using runway 28, again considering that westerly wind, and if I'm correct, runway 28 uses a right hand circuit. So what we'll probably end up doing is we're coming from the sort of southeast, so we might want to just, as soon as we have the airfield in sight, we'll kind of try and drift to the south, come over runway, the numbers for the reciprocal runway 10. We might want to circle over the active side, 1,000 feet above circuit height, which again I'm assuming is 1,000 feet. We'll cross over the active numbers and descend on the dead side to cross over the inactive numbers at 1,000, where we'll join the downwind and land as normal. And then when we do, should be quite nice and easy. We should be able to stop before we reach this runway, which will be used as a taxiway, and then we'll taxi over to GA. Okay, so let's actually zoom out. Nice. So yeah, the wind today, or the weather I should say, so I've set live weather, and we'll see how that goes, and according to Met Office spot checks, wind spot checks, it should be 270 at 20 knots today, so directly from the west, fairly strong, but hopefully shouldn't be too much of an issue, because the runways we're using today are fairly lined up with the wind. Cambridge will be interesting. We'll see how that goes. I won't work out the crosswind components because that will get boring. Just be exciting. So our track up to Leicester is actually 299, taking into the wind correction angle. We're expecting a magnetic heading of 293. So we'll set that first, but again, we'll check it as we head along. We might end up having to adjust that, of course. And our fuel situation, the total flight should take an hour. I don't want to refuel when we get to Leicester, so we'll take plenty of fuel for the journey. The 152 uses 6 gallons per hour, so we'll be taking 20 gallons in total. That's 10 in each tank, in each wing. So that should give us well over 3 hours. I think 3 hours and 20 minutes of total flying time. So it's always a good idea for GA to take as much fuel as you can, really. But so yeah, those tanks are mostly full. So we have plenty of time if anything goes wrong. We can't land at our destination. We have to come back. We have to go to an alternate, and then obviously hold anywhere for any reason. And yeah, just one last thing. So let's get into the cockpit and let's make sure we have our altimeter pressures in correctly. So obviously, normally in flight sim you just press B to give you your QNH, but we'll work it out. We won't cheat. So Cambridge altitude is actually 39, elevation I should say, is 39 feet. So if we actually put this in here, oops, let's not go too far. So yeah, so that looks more or less correct. That looks a bit too far. Yeah, so our QNH today is 1021. Let's call it 1020. Let's write that down. Of course, you would check with the METAR, not the METAR, sorry, the ATIS at Cambridge, or you'd call the radio station and get your QNHs and QFEs. But there's no, you can always work it out for yourself. I kind of record these videos not using any ATC just yet. Just kind of be a bit more independent, I suppose. And so yeah, so our QNH will be 1020, and Leicester airfield is actually elevated by 463 feet. So that works out at a pressure change of about 15 hectopascals. So obviously we'll just need to adjust our altimeter pressure from 1020 down to 1005. So if we kind of simulate that a little bit, go all the way down here. So when you are, so it's showing a negative altitude at the moment, but of course at higher altitude, at Leicester, I should say on the ground, that should be reading 0. Okie dokie. So that's enough waffle. Let's actually get in the air. So what did I say? 293 is our first heading. That's the only heading I'm going to be worrying about at the moment. That's the only one I'm going to brief, just because the next video, well, the route back, of course, will be the next video. Okie dokie. All right, let's get started up in here. So let's turn our battery and alternator. Let's get our beacon on. Let all of the gyros and avionics come to life. Mixture fully rich. Fuel is on. Let's get some fuel into the manifold, and let's get the engine started up. Much better this time. I found it's nice to kind of drag the key over. Kind of, you can hold it for as long as necessary, which is a lot which actually means that it starts up first time, which is very nice. So obviously RPM to 1000. Make sure that battery is being charged, the engine's being cooled sufficiently. So runway 23 should be over to our left somewhere. That's correct. Just before we start, I'm just going to set little nav map to center on our aircraft, and I'll zoom out a little bit after we take off. I'll do it now, why not? So we can kind of get a bit more perspective as to what's going on. Okay, that all seems fine. Okay, so fuel gauge is down there. Yeah, we've got plenty of fuel. Okay, so that should be it. It feels a bit strange. Normally I've got another 15 minutes of checks to do, power checks and pre-takeoff checks, but we're just gonna go for it. Oh, a little bit of lag there. Well, that's why it would crash then. That'd be embarrassing. So taxi light on. Don't need nav lights because you can't see anything today. Well, you won't see them in daylight. Okay, I think we're all set. So let's taxi over to the runway. Parking brake off. Probably clip that guy with the wing. Oops. Not sure this is actually a registered taxi taxiway, but just going with it. There's a lot of unmarked taxiways in flight sim. I don't know what that minivan's doing. Okay, let's slow things down. Let's get our landing light on and our strobe light on. Actually, I'm just going to stop here. Just make sure those are the correct ones that I've just turned on. Landing light on, leave the taxi light on, strobe light. Okay. So let's go. Let's take the runway. Don't need all the runway, so we can just enter straight away from here. Oh, I can already feel that right crosswind, kind of weather vaning me to the right as it pushes the vertical stabilizer to the left. All right, so apply crosswind correction. Don't need any flaps today. Mixture's rich. Lights are set. Let's go. Full power. Plenty of right rudder. As we get faster, we can ease off that aileron pressure. 60 knots. Let's lift off and just let the aircraft weathercock into the wind, and off we go. Can't really see the runway from here. But let's do a little cheeky look round. Okay, we're definitely drifting off to the right there. Overcompensating for the wind, I think. Okay, that's probably looking a little better. A little better. A little better. Oops, let's not stall in the climb out. That's bad news. Okay, let's turn base and let's just keep climbing. I'm going to apply a little bit of trim to help me out here. Okay, let's not bank too hard in a turn. Increase load factors. crossed through 1,000 feet, but we're just going to keep climbing. Of course, you would make this very clear in a radio call, just so anyone else knows what you're doing. And if it's busy enough, you probably wouldn't even do this. Probably just take off, fly the circuit at the correct altitude, and then just depart straight from the circuit, so you wouldn't fly over the airfield. But today I'm pretending that Cambridge is not only a small airfield but also not very busy, so neither of which are probably the case. Okay. Let's keep turning round. So we are currently at 1,800 feet. Our cruising altitude today will be 3,000. It's too much trim. You might hear the clicking of my controller. I try and adjust the trim. It's such a pain in the ass. Okie dokie. I'm actually going to turn now. And when we get over the airfield, we'll do our HAT checklist, en route checklist, which of course is heading, altitude, time. Okay, so heading straight for the airfield. Let's keep climbing. Let's keep it slightly to the left, so I can see it out of my window. Okie dokie. So westerly wind today, so looking a little bit slow, probably because of that wind there. I might actually get to 3,000 before we actually get overhead the airfield. That'd be good news, wouldn't it? Yeah, I think we actually have. Look at that. Fantastic. Okay. So let's bring the nose down. Let our speed build up a little bit here. And then let's come down on the throttle. Get into a nice little cruise. And we are nearly over the airfield. Let's do some downwards trim. Help me out there. There we go. Okay, start the time. So it's currently 9:33. Okay. And this leg of the journey is supposed to tell this. Sorry, this segment is take us 37 minutes. So let's set our heading. Our heading is 293. So that's pretty much where we're heading now. Let's make sure we don't send too much. Yeah, so 293 is pretty much here. Looking at the map, we should be going along a road to start with, and yeah, so I think kind of this road here looks about right. Oh, let's not cheat. Muscle memory. This aircraft's actually fairly well trimmed out. Might be descending ever so slightly. It's a bit difficult to manage really, but oh well. Yeah, I think we're definitely drifting fairly significantly. Oops, it's getting confused there. Okay, so we should be just on the left hand side of that road, so I think, yeah, we're definitely drifting a bit more. and we're looking out for a little town first, Bar Hill. And looking out the window, I'd probably say that little town there is the likely. Likely that town. It's not that far out from Cambridge, so yeah. Yeah, our ground speed is looks like it's very low at the moment. Okay, just making sure, of course, I've got all of my maps and stuff on the PC closed, just to remove any temptation to to cheat. So have another look. There we go. So that's a bit better. That picture's a bit nicer. Just as a kind of little validation of what I'm looking at, there should be another road to the left, and it sort of curves to the right a little, and I think that's what we're looking at there. Actually two, yeah. They both well, one turns to the right, to the left ahead. Look there on the top left, we can see there. Yeah, so I'm happy with that. Okay, I've never actually done this in real life, but let's actually see if we can lean our mixture. There we go. So my understanding is that you don't want to go further than the point at which your RPM starts decreasing, because at that point you're probably getting too much fuel, too little fuel into the actual pistons, so it might end up exploding rather than combusting. Haven't actually done my aircraft technical exam yet, so yeah, have to correct me on that one. Okay, so what heading are we flying? 300, and is that working for us? I think we're supposed to be drifting slightly to the right there. Yeah, actually it's not too far off really. Okay, so at this point, of course, I would like to just keep my head out the window and just keep looking back and forth to maps. Look at the map, look outside, look back at the map, look outside again. So trying to resist the temptation to go into the third person view, because it is kind of cheating. Okay, so I'm seeing two towns here. One that looks a little bit long and spindly, the other one looks a bit more rounded, so I'm thinking it's just the towns just around Willingham. Yeah, things looking pretty good, and I'm assuming that this town up here is Huntingdon, and that must be Godmanchester. So if we head for that initially, we should be golden. I always find it interesting when you're planning VFR flights. My instructor has always been adamant that to be really kind of precise when you're calculating your headings, and then of course when you're flying your headings. But I found that, you know, in the air it really should only be a guide. I mean, everything should be contributing, you know, to ensuring that you're going in the right direction. But you shouldn't be getting in the air, you know, setting a heading and then that's it, and then you just fly it for an hour. No, I don't think that's how it should be. You really should be constantly checking everything. Okay, so 9:33. So it's been, what's that? 7 or 8 minutes since we left. So I think, looking at the map, when we get to Huntingdon, that should be about a third of the way there. Considering it should take us 37 minutes. So yeah, when it's 12 minutes. Yeah, when it's 12 minutes, we should be at Huntingdon. But I think it looks like, yeah, the wind is playing a much more significant effect. It's definitely having a much more significant effect than perhaps it should. So I've set the weather to be live, but there's no guarantee that Flight Sim will actually, will actually set the weather exactly as it is IRL. So 12 minutes after 9:33, of course, be 9:45. So that's in 3 minutes, basically. So in 3 minutes, we should be over Huntingdon, or thereabouts. Yeah, I guess we're not doing too bad, and it's Huntingdon, it's Godmanchester. As my instructor always gets me to do is to look for other landmarks as well. So there's a river running sort of between them. Oh, hang on, let me get this trim correct. So there we go. There's the river. Sort of runs from the sort of from the south, kind of southwest, and it flows between the two towns there, and then sort of turns and then turns again to the north. I can't really see it from here. Let's make sure we're heading the right way. Yeah, there's the river. So, and I guess another feature maybe that Graffham Water, which is a lake just out there. Yep, that's Graffham Water. Okay, so after Huntingdon, there's not too much to go on really, unfortunately. Now we're losing altitude, nice. Yeah, that's just that. The only thing I have to adjust the trim is to either do it manually here with the mouse, or use the trim up and trim down buttons which I've set on my controller, but I think neither option is that precise. I'm still wanting to descend a little bit. Let's give it another click. It just oh, it's so much nicer when you can actually have something physical to move. Oh, you know what I forgot to do? I forgot to turn off my landing light and the taxi light. No matter. Okay, so I guess at first what we'll try and do is we'll keep Graffham Water off to the left. There are a few other features that we can use. There should be a small wind farm just to the north of Graffham Water. There's no guarantee that it will be mapped here in the scenery. Yeah, it doesn't look like it is. Oh, I might not be looking in the right place. Yeah. Okay, I think we need to be careful here because I think I've turned slightly to the left. think the heading that we were flying, most of that was 300. So let's try and hold that. There you go. There's Huntingdon, right over the top of it, and the time is 45. Yeah. So actually, yeah, it's not bad. Oops. Right, slip of the wrist. Yeah, let's adjust that trim a little bit. Alrighty. Indicated airspeed is about 85. So there's that, I guess, as well. The ground speed was, of course, based on an indicated airspeed. I think I set it at 95, which might have been a mistake. So that's potentially a 10. That's potentially a 10 knot difference, which could make a big difference. Hopefully not too significant though. Okay, so we're not doing too bad actually. Let's just try and hold this heading. Looking at the map again, so we do have a road that we're sort of flying parallel with, and it should be to our left. And then at the end of it will be a town called Thrapston, which again will be over to our left. And then there will also be a river there, so I guess we just need to watch out for that. So I think this is the road, and if we keep following it up, I don't think we'll be able to see it from here, but this could be, that might be it there, and that could be the river. Difficult to tell. The visibility in flight simmers, I think, a lot higher than it is in real life. Well, I'm not sure. I haven't done a huge amount of navigational flying, and it's mostly been very short distance. I haven't done much cruising, and the cruising I've done has been quite easy because obviously. Oh, there's the wind farm. Oh, there you go. Very nice. And that should be we're just to the left of it, and that's perfect. Excellent. Fantastic. What was I saying? Yeah, in real life, the flights that I've done have been quite fairly short, I guess. Haven't done much really long flights. This 50 nautical miles is not bad, actually, considering the other flights that I've done. We're still climbing. Okay, let's give it another click now. Let's see if that you shouldn't be using it as a primary control, but it's the only way I can try and control this thing. Okay. Yeah, and I guess on the flights that I've done, it would be nice to fly over some unfamiliar area and do some of this nav stuff, because I have done that a little bit, but it'd be nice to do some longer distance. Trying to keep this road in my sights, just because of course I am trying to use it as a source of navigation. Shouldn't of course be reliant on it, but I'm fairly confident that this is Thrapston over here, and that should be over to our left, but not too far. So actually I'm just gonna come over a little bit. My instructor said I forget the actual term for it, but it's I think it's destination bias or navigation bias, where if you see something which you think is where you want to be, you tend to beeline for it, which of course is bad navigational practice. Our altitude is all over the place today. And you don't want to do that because you know it could just be an en route a navigational kind of feature. It's not your destination. You should use it to navigate, but you should definitely not definitely shouldn't be trying to fly to it. There's that kind of bias where you kind of get excited that you found something that you recognise. I'm just looking at the clouds, and this one looks like it's obviously there's few clouds here, of course, but we want to be careful. There is that cloud just ahead of us, which looks to be approximately where we are. So if we start getting close to it, we don't want to go into it. It's not the most significant of clouds, but yeah, VFR aircraft really should not be flying in clouds at all. Actually, looking at my RPM, I could probably give it a little bit more, you know. That's very sensitive, good lord. Might help us along a bit. I suppose when you're established in a cruise, you should be doing a freighter checklist. Yeah, that is very sensitive, good lord. Let's bring that back a bit. Freighter checklist, so fuel, which we have plenty of. Radios we're not using, but you'd make sure that you're on the right frequency, if you are on a frequency, of course. You might want to tune in the next frequency, for example. So, of course, at this point in the flight, we haven't really needed to talk to anyone since Cambridge, so we'd probably be thinking about tuning in Leicester. We do go fairly close to Wittering, which is a military airport. Climbing again, it's fun. But I don't think we're going to be close enough to worry. We'll probably put it into a standby, and we won't worry too much about it. Of course, the MATS, or the military air traffic zone, extends up to 3,000 feet. So if we were to go over it, then that could potentially be, we could be going into their airspace. But legally, you don't really have to talk to them to cross that airspace. But it's normally it's good practice. But yeah, so I guess at this point, because there's no other frequencies to worry about, I'd just be wanting to tune in Leicester, and kind of about 10 miles out. So maybe when we, so looking at the distance, probably halfway between Corby and Leicester, we probably want to be considering contacting them, getting the airfield information, and the runway in use and the traffic pattern, and maybe some information on what traffic is actually currently active. If it's really busy, they'll obviously want to tell us, depending on the traffic service that they're offering. Okay, so looking at, I think this is the town that I was talking about. So this is the road that was supposed to be to our left. At the end of it was a town, and there was a river flowing through it. Or just next to it, I should say. It's a bit difficult to determine, but I think that it does start. It looks like this is a river we're turning now. There's a river that kind of runs this way, so yeah, I'm fairly confident with that. And I think the next feature, which I've actually already been looking at now, might be Corby, which is this town up here. Okay, that cloud is definitely going to be a menace, so let's actually descend. Copy in. Just try and hold the same airspeed but bleed off that altitude. We probably could have climbed above it, but most of you are probably watching this thinking there's no need to do this. But I'm a stickler for procedure. There we go. Let's just get ourselves back into cruise power, copy back in. There we go, I think we're just below the cloud there. Let's just try and fly straight and level for a little bit, and then climb back up when we get to the end of it. Try and hold the same heading. Okay, I think we're clear now. Full power. Let's resume a climb attitude, excuse me. Let's not lose track of that town. That was our last navigation fix. Although I am keeping that town ahead of me in sight. Bit of a weird shape this. Let's climb up just back to 3000 and then we'll have a look at it. Let's climb a little bit faster. Okay, let's level off there. Holding altitude, keep the power in until we hit our cruising speed, and let's bring the power back. Nice little cruise, and in theory the trim should be staying where it is. Let's give it one up and see where that leads us. Nope, okay, let's go back down. Okay, so Corby. Is this Corby? Yeah, I think so. So looking at Corby, there's a bit of a hole in it in the middle, and then there's a bit of a gap. Yeah, there's a bit of an industrial bit as a sort of extension. Let's have a think about this actually. So before we actually do anything, so Corby is about 3/4 of the way there. Think about this mathematically. So in theory, that was 9 minutes from the end. So maybe after 27 minutes we should be there. Maybe at 10 on the dot we should be arriving at Corby. Oops. Habit. Yeah, and it's currently 9:59. So yeah, that does make sense. It does make sense. There's that industrial estate, I suppose. Okay, and we're sort of crossing over sort of the north side of Corby, and at this point, let's have a look at some other features. So there should be a major road going from sort of south to northeast. There you go. And it's sort of, yeah, it does kind of wiggle around a little bit. Looks more like that. There's also a river, sort of should be ahead of us, going from left to right. There's a lake, but is that a river? It's a lot easier to tell in real life. I'm just going to say it is. Why not? And I guess the third one could be, there's like a wind farm, I guess, on the southwest side of the town. It might not show until we're closer, but if it is mapped into the scenery. Sorry, the southwest should be right on the other side, so yeah, it probably wouldn't load, just because I haven't set my graphics settings that high. No matter, we can actually at this point, we could probably just hold our heading. 300 was working for us. And keep on going. I'm seeing a town up ahead, which looks like it could be Leicester. Should be getting to Leicester 37 minutes after 9:33. Yeah, so maybe 10 past 10. 10 past 10 we should be arriving overhead, but hopefully we should be able to see. Climbing again. I found that in real life your altitude and speed are a lot more difficult to maintain, just because of course you've got thermals and downdrafts and all sorts of things that are all working together to push you, or to push you around basically. You find that you go over a thermal and you start climbing and your speed is increasing because you're trying to keep the nose down, so you've got to bring the power back. And of course you get out of the thermal, meaning that your airspeed, well, your altitude will start dropping off, and then you bring the nose back up, and then your airspeed bleeds off, and you've got to put the power back in again. It's really, it can be really tricky sometimes. It really does make things difficult without an autopilot. Okay, so just to add a little bit of situational awareness, so the airfield is on our side of Leicester, and I've actually flown there before, and the actual airfield is in a sort of, imagine Leicester as a sort of Pac-Man. Leicester is in its mouth, sort of. if that kind of makes any sense. So let's say that's the bottom of the jaw, that's the top of the jaw, so Leicester in theory should be somewhere here. Could be. Could be different. Let's have a think about how to validate our position. That airfield over there, not sure what that is. It's a bit of a lake to my left right now. To my right, sorry. Looking at the map, and it looks like there could be a lake there. I'm also seeing, yeah, that could be that lake. So one just below me. Yeah, that could be the river, part of the river anyway. Yeah, let's just keep flying on over to Leicester. Keeping our eye out for that airfield. You'll probably end up seeing it way before I do, although that's looking promising. Yeah, that could be it. Yeah, Leicester, you know, I should have actually shown you. I did show you the oh, sorry, it'd be nice to show you right now a sort of layout of the airfield, because there is a runway running, I think it was 2810, so to sort of gain a bit of situational awareness, so 28 of course would be here, So it would sort of be running more or less in line with our with our route, with our heading right now. Not our route, sorry, it's different. Oh, we're descending again. Let's get some upwards trim. Let's get back above. VFR, you want to try and maintain your heading as accurately as possible, but it's not going to be the end of the world if you drop down, you know, 200 feet. It'd be pretty impressive if you managed to do it, but yeah, it's not going to be the end of the world. Okay, I'm looking at what looks like the runway that's fairly lined up with us. Again, there's Leicester right behind it. Any other features? Such a big town, it's difficult to see. So let's not get biased, let's continue on our heading. It could just be an airfield, doesn't necessarily have to be Leicester. So let's lean up and have a look. So there should be a major road sort of going southeast to northwest, sort of more or less in line with us. That could be it there, I suppose. Difficult to see. Yeah. Sort of bit of hilly terrain around here. It does look fairly bumpy, so I guess that could be considered another clue. Any railway lines of significance? Not really. Well, I guess that is three things. There's that main road that we saw, Leicester, right behind it. Like I was talking about, it's a little bit like Pac-Man. So this is the top jaw, this is the bottom jaw, and then Leicester's sort of in the mouth. It's the best way. We're climbing now. Best way I can describe it. And then the runway itself. So if we're currently on a heading of was that 29, just over 292, and it's runway 28. That's more or less in line with us. So yep, I'm gonna be confident and say that that's our airfield. And at this point I'm going to set our QFE, which for Leicester today is like we said, 15 less than the QNH, of course, which was 1020. So we'll set our QNH at 1005. There we go, and we want to be at 2,000 feet for the circuit. We'll sort of stay at this altitude first. Let's not lose sight of the airfield. There it is. So we want to go over to the south of the airfield. And then come up over the numbers for runway 10. I should have the charts for Leicester. Actually, no, I've actually got my Sky Demon in front of me, which could help. So it's yeah. Maybe that's a bit better. Oh, Leicester actually has an NDB, non-directional beacon, so if I was really lost I could just tune that in. Which is this tuning box down here, ADF, automatic direction finder. And we'd use that to point this this needle, which will point directly at, well, it's a so it's a relative bearing indicator, and it will point to the beacon. So the beacon sort of off to the right there, it will sort of be pointing to the right, and you can adjust your heading to give you a bit more kind of bit more awareness of what heading it's at, and then you can cross-reference that with your heading. I've actually just been learning about this in Nav, and you have to make all sorts of other corrections for drift, etc. Okay, we're going really slow because of the direct headwind at the moment. So our indicated airspeed is what, 90. Our true airspeed will be slightly higher than that. But with the 20 knot headwind, that's going to knock off. It's going to knock off a lot of that. Yeah, unfortunately. The journey back will be fantastic. Will be fantastic. Okay, let's actually descend. So carpet in. Sorry, let's get our thing back. Oh yes, turn on our landing light. Turn on taxi light as well. Bring this back in. Let's try and get down to 2,000 feet, which will be 1,000 feet above circuit height. Oh, good grief, we're really travelling very slowly. I have to try. Want to be flying a faster plane. Tell you what, actually, now that we're a bit closer, you can see that main road which goes in this town, and I can see on the map does start at a town. Looks like a main road, motorway going directly into Leicester. So again, nice validation there. Because in theory, oh, there's 2,000. Let's carpet back out. Mixture fully rich. Let's get ourselves back into a cruise. Oh, what was I saying? Yeah, because we could be talking on the radio to Leicester's frequency, but they don't have a radar. They don't know where we are. They can look out the window, but you know, they normally don't see us until we're fairly close by anyway. So yeah, there's no way for them to know that we're talking to the right, that we're looking at the right airfield. For example, you know, Leicester could be over there to our left. This is a disused, say, ex-military airfield, which we just don't know. So it's good to have that positive identification, even if you are 100% certain, or at least 90% certain, that what you're looking at is your chosen airfield. Okie dokie, so let's actually see if we can have a look. So that's 10, that's 28, very nice. Of course it's gone up underneath me. I'm sort of having to use intuition to feel where I am. So what we're doing here is we're currently over the dead side. Let's actually turn to, there we go, 10. Again, I can't actually see it below me, but I just have to believe. That's what I could do, is give it a little bit of a slip. There we go. Yep, I'm happy with that. Not really a safe manoeuvre to do that. So we're over the dead side. Let's fly out a little bit and then turn over, and then turn around. Give it a little bit more power. A bit low on the RPM there. There we go. And let's turn around and let's fly over the active numbers. Make sure maintaining 2,000 feet or 1,000 feet above. 1,000 feet above circuit height, in case there are any planes currently in the circuit. This is turning out to be quite a steep turn. Yeah, I think we passed over sort of midfield, which was not great, but oh well. It'll have to do. Oops, it's not climb. Okay, so now we're passing over the active numbers. We've got drift pushing us over there. There we go. So we're now on the dead side. Let's carb hop. Let's descend. Descend on the dead side. Let's give ourselves plenty of space to do this, but we don't want to go out too far, because we know there's a westerly wind, so the further we go out, the longer it's going to take to come back. Okay, this is looking pretty good. Let's not go too far over this time. Let's steepen. Let's just go power idle. Make sure we get to 1,000 feet before those numbers. And there we go. Back up to cruising power. Trying to account for that drift, which there is a significant. Okay, we're now on the active side at circuit height, so we're going to be looking out for traffic. We always do, but this time especially. Okay, there's Leicester. Doesn't seem to be much in terms of towns or anything out there, so here we go. Let's join the downwind. Not have to worry too much about drift on the downwind because obvious reasons. Okay, town there. Let's stay inside of it. That might end up being a mistake. Oh no, don't think so. Let's stay inside of it a little bit. Trying to keep. We did our best, but we can't always be perfect. Okay, that's about 45 degrees behind us, although we are facing a little bit sort of towards the south, but oh well. Okay, let's go onto our base. Which will be 90 degrees less than 280. There's our runway. Let's actually slow it down. Let's go. We didn't do any pre-landing checks because I forgot. I suppose we could do it quickly. Brakes are off, undercarriage down, make sure it's rich. Flaps are 20 degrees. Oh, let's not overshoot the traffic. Overshoot final, and let's start descending at 60. Brakes off, undercarriage down, make sure it's rich, pitch is fixed. Fuel is good, flaps is required. Instruments are set, we've set the QFE, and copy, we're currently using it. It's not going to take that out. We're getting a bit fast again. Let's set 30, that'll help us slow us down a bit. And hatches and harnesses are secure. Alright, ready for landing. Oh, that is I've just looked at the ground, we are moving very slowly. This isn't me speeding up, this is me making sure that we're not descending too fast, because yeah, we're hardly moving. This is a really good good exercise to actually practice some power off approaches, some glide approaches, because if you knocked in all of the flaps, which could be up to 40 degrees in some Cessnas, you can really you can dive bomb to the ground and still maintain a good, an acceptable airspeed when you got a really strong headwind. Alright, let's concentrate now. 100 feet, 60 knots, so I'm just going to bring out all the power now. Let's get into ground effect. Not too high, please. Okay, keep bringing it up, keep bringing it up. Oh, there we go, that was surprising. Might have been a little flat, but not too disappointed with that. We're on tarmac, so no need to put in back pressure. Okay, that's an interesting stop bar. Okay, flaps up, carb heat back in. Landing light can come off, although actually no, we haven't exited the runway yet. So exit here. This is actually a different runway. 15. Oh, this is funny. Yeah, I remember this very well. There's taxiway on the other side here. Okay, now the landing light can come off, strobe light can come off. This is the taxiway. And is this where? Yes, this is where you want to go. We turn here. Sort of like a one-way system, so this side is to go out. Oh, this is very cool. I've been here once before, and this ground layout is very familiar. Alright, and then GA is right in front of us. Very nice, very nice. Yes, I remember this. Oh, let's make sure we don't crash into that. Oof, that was close. So what we did last time is they have sort of blocks on the edge of this little bit of grass, and all you need to do is go onto the grass, bring the airplane around, and then stop on one of the blocks which is on the edge. Looks about right. Set parking brake, 1000 RPM. Okay, welcome to Leicester. Fantastic. Taxi light off. Yeah, I don't need to do a shutdown checklist, so I'm just going to go ahead and turn off the engine. Fantastic. Well, I think that went rather well. And that's just the outbound leg. I'm halfway done, although the inbound leg shouldn't take too long. Let's wait for that propeller to stop, if it will. Oh, yeah, the wind might be very strong. Yeah, that. Yeah, okay, whatever. Just gonna turn the beacon off. I don't know why that's continuing. Okay, well, magneto's off, keys out. Yeah, I'll turn the fuel off. Why not? And I'm gonna turn the. Yep, and guess I'll turn the battery and alternator off. Okay. I was expecting Flight Sim to come up with the shutdown message, but whatever. Anyway, I'll end it here. That's absolutely hilarious. Thank you very much for watching. Hope you enjoyed that video, and I'm not done at the moment. I've got another leg to fly, which will be in the next video. So I hope you enjoy that. I hope you enjoyed this video, and you look forward to the next one. Yeah, thank you very much for watching. Goodbye.